The conclusion of The Crowded Room is finally here. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? To be honest, everything seemed quite lackluster until the off-screen pranks started to spice things up. I was initially dissatisfied with the miniseries, but that changed a bit after watching Tom Holland's interview where he discussed the criticism he received for his work. It made me realize that he had a promising future ahead, and those negative reviews might not reflect his true potential. Now let's dive into the finale of Akiva Goldsman's miniseries. In the 9th episode, we witness Danny's emotional turmoil after realizing his mother Candy refuses to support him and instead stands with his stepfather Marlon, despite being aware of Marlon's harassment towards Danny. The opening moments of the 10th episode show Danny conversing with Ariana in his cell, but in reality, he is bleeding out and on the verge of unconsciousness. The focus then shifts to Stan, who is upset for not receiving the medications he needs. He seems to be dealing with some form of PTSD. After taking his medication, Stan does manage to calm down. However, his calm is disrupted by a disturbing call from the judge handling Danny's case. Raya also learns about Danny's actions after being scolded by her professor. The next day, they visit Danny, and Raya believes it's impractical for him to face a new hearing in just 2 weeks, considering the tension of the previous trial. While on their way to Danny's hospital room, the most surprising but somewhat predictable development occurs when Jack assumes control of Danny's body. He traps Danny in the titular barn to prevent him from regaining control anytime soon. With Danny's memories intact, Raya and Stan are left with no choice but to sit down and strategize on how to escape this predicament. Strangely, Raya begins to assess Stan's PTSD, discussing the idea that people often blame themselves for the negative events in their lives, which hinders their healing process. She points out that sometimes a person's circumstances are simply a result of life's unfortunate twists and turns, rather than being entirely their own fault. According to Raya, the path to healing involves accepting that one isn't entirely to blame for their circumstances. As she expresses this idea, she realizes its potential applicability to Danny. Raya believes that by helping Danny understand what he has been through, he can eventually come to terms with his experiences. Up until now, Raya has been supportive of Danny, encouraging him to confront his own truth and struggles independently. However, she now considers employing a different strategy to show Danny that he shouldn't bear the burden of suffering due to his past. After she delves deeper into this fine line of thinking, Raya faces consequences in her professional life. She loses her job as a professor because she had been neglecting her classes, dedicating all her time to Danny's case. Although she saw this outcome coming, she accepts it, realizing that she doesn't need to split her time between academia and her work as a criminal psychologist, focusing solely on the latter to excel in her field. After addressing some previous matters, Raya and Stan proceed to Danny's hearing, where it becomes evident that Jack is still firmly in control of his mind. In an attempt to catch Jack off guard, Stan calls Danny Sullivan to the stand, treating Danny and Jack as distinct individuals, with the intention of forcing Jack to relinquish control over Danny. Jack maintains his grip on Danny's mind and body. With limited options, Stan and the judge reluctantly permit Jack to narrate Danny's story. Jack provides a brief recap of Danny's life, but Stan counters by treating him as a hostile witness. To refute the existence of Adam, Danny's imaginary twin brother, Stan presents childhood pictures as evidence. Motivated by the need to break free from his mental prison, Danny finally musters the courage to admit that he is a victim of sexual assault. As a result, the jury recognizes his innocence and acknowledges the need for medical help to address the trauma inflicted by Marlon. Has Danny conquered his demons at last? At the courthouse, we witness Raya and Danny engaging in a conversation about the aftermath of the ruling. Initially, Raya struggled to accept Danny's decision to seek additional therapy to move forward in his life, but she eventually understood its importance to him. At the retreat where Danny is seeking assistance, he stumbles upon Candy's paintings, the very same artworks featured in The Crowded Room's opening credits. The creators of these paintings deserve full credit, especially considering the recent criticism surrounding Marvel's Secret Invasion's AI-generated title sequence. In a touching moment, we see Candy arriving to visit Danny. It is revealed that she has separated from Marlon and is now living in an apartment. Marlon had harassed her for a few weeks before finally stopping. During their meeting, Candy expresses regret for not standing by Danny or protecting him in any way. Raya reveals some information about Danny's biological father, explaining that he was abusive, leading Candy to escape with Danny. She justifies her reliance on Marlon, though she's apologetic about it. Danny, however, doesn't believe it's sufficient, and I concur. He feels that Candy will never take substantial steps to rectify her past actions. While Raya tries to empathize with Candy due to her past experience, Danny disagrees with her perspective. As the episode progresses, Danny leads Raya out of the retreat, and she notices a significant change in him. Danny appears to be integrating his fragmented personality into a single identity. He mentions that he owes someone money and that it's now his turn to play the role of a guardian angel, similar to his previous alter egos. After returning to his room, Raya follows him. As they pass the gates, Raya takes one last look at Danny and briefly glimpses a younger version of himself, or possibly Adam, standing beside the older Danny. This moment can be interpreted as Raya witnessing Danny's growth, or it might be seen as the showrunners perpetuating the old mistake of portraying mental illness as a superpower.